about the Galveston housing market. One of the claims that were really interesting said that there was over 1.6 million, 1.6, I'm sorry, 1,600 houses currently for sale, and only 22 had sold in the last month, which is outrageously incorrect. And of course, once people start seeing numbers like that, they have comments like, Galveston is crashing and nobody is buying, and it's going to take years to clear the inventory. But here's the problem: those numbers don't tell the whole story. They're also wildly incorrect, but they don't tell the whole story. So the Houston Chronicle actually followed up with a article that also they posted in the Facebook groups, talking about how many actual transactions had happened. 111 transactions actually had happened in Galveston and Jamaica Beach in the past 30 days, including 80 single family homes. So today, instead of reacting, of course, reacting to Facebook headlines, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the Galveston market based on actual data. So, hi guys, I'm Rose Lazo. I'm your Galveston realtor, and today we're going to be talking about the Galveston market this month, August 2026. And we're going to be looking at what's active, what's pending. We're going to be talking about what's actually sold, what are the price points we're seeing buyers responding to, and what all this means. So let's get started, and let's talk about the inventory. There's no question about it. We have a lot of homes for sale. Based on the current MLS search, we have approximately 827 active single family homes here in Galveston. And yes, that matters, because when buyers have hundreds of options, they're not forced to settle. They can compare homes, they can compare neighborhoods, they can compare conditions of the property. But most importantly, they are comparing price. The active report shows homes starting as low as $100,000 and moving all the way up into the luxury market. And many listings have already accumulated significant amount of days on market. So yes, inventory is high, but high inventory doesn't mean that nothing is selling. Let's look at the current pending market and what the current pending market is telling us. This is where I think the story gets much more interesting when you're talking about the Galveston market. Our latest reports show that 81 single family homes are currently pending here in Galveston. The median pricing of these listings is about $399,000. That means that buyers are actively writing contracts, right? So 81 people did say yes to a house this month, right? And when I look through those pending properties, I can see active activity throughout the market. So we're seeing it in all parts of the market. So this idea that the buyers have disappeared from the Galveston market is simply just not true, and isn't supported by the data. What has changed is how buyers are buying. Okay, that's how it's changed. How buyers are buying. Buyers are just more selective right now. We're in a selective market. A few years ago, buyers often felt pressured to purchase immediately or to make a quick decision. And today they just have more options. And that means they're asking more questions like, is this home priced correctly? What condition is it in? Does it have good insurance? Or what's the insurance situation around this property? How long has it been on the market? And is there a property is this property worth what it's stating its value is? That shift gives buyers more negotiation power. But buyers, I don't want you to think that or make the mistake to think that every seller is desperate to sell. because that's not where we are either anymore. The best homes, when they're priced correctly, can still move very quickly. Homes are still flying off the shelf. This probably one. I think this is probably one of the biggest misconceptions when we're talking about properties on the market currently, is that that they're assuming that every seller is going to give you these giant concessions or reduce their prices by a giant amount. Sellers are starting to price their homes correctly, which is creating a buzz around their properties, and they are still flying off the shelf. I think the thing is people see a lot of for sale signs and assume that nothing is moving, but that's, again, simply just not true. We have recent sales where homes moved in 4 days, several homes moved in 4 days, 5 days, 18 days, and even 29 days. That tells me something really important. Buyers will move when they see something that is worth the value. A home that is priced right, shows well, and is marketed correctly absolutely is going to attract the correct buyers and moved very quickly. So when somebody says, Rose, homes aren't selling in Galveston, my question to them is which home? Because the right homes, they're selling, right? So what price point is moving here in Galveston? If you're like, okay, Rose, homes are selling, but what's the price point most homes are selling in? Well, we're seeing strong activity in the more attainable price range, middle part of the market. Most of the homes pending are in the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 range. So again, that's the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 range that we're seeing most of the activity in, which makes sense, right? Because that's the larger portion of the primary residence buyers that are shopping, right? People who are looking for a primary residence, right? So, but that doesn't mean that luxury is dead either. That it does not mean. We recently saw several homes go for sale that were over $1 million, and just recently one in Beachside Village for 1.5 and one in Evia for 1.675. So what's the takeaway is lower priced homes sell. What's not the takeaway is lower priced homes sell and more expensive homes don't. No, that's not the takeaway. The takeaway is buyers are at every price point, they're looking for value. They're looking to get their best deal. Sellers, this means this isn't the time to test the market. It isn't the time to say, oh, let's test the market. Now that we're talking to sellers, let's talk get a little bit more serious about the conversation. If the data tells us that your home is worth $500,000 and you say, Rose, let's list it for $575 and see what happens, that can be a very expensive experiment because your buyer has hundreds of options. If they think your home is overpriced, they're not even going to negotiate. They're not even going to go and see it because there's other options on the market. So they can simply just move on. And the activity report and the active report shows exactly what's happening to these properties is that they're sitting. And they are sitting not only for a couple of months, they're sitting for hundreds of days on market. And once a house has been sitting for months, buyers start asking a whole different set of questions. They start asking, what's wrong with it? Maybe nothing is wrong with it. Maybe you simply just started too high. This is why I tell sellers, don't chase the market. Don't test the market. If your house starts overpriced, you may eventually have to reduce it, then reduce it again. And eventually you may just arrive at the price point we would have started at 3 months ago. And again, it was an expensive experiment because you still have to pay the taxes on that. You have to pay the insurance, your mortgage, all of the things, right? And if we would have just started from the beginning, your home would have sold a lot quicker. But now you've lost time, you've lost momentum, and buyers know your house has been sitting, and you've lost a lot of that, the urgency to sell your home. I want buyers saying that's the house, that house makes sense for that price point. Let's go see it. That's how we generate showings. That's how we create competition. That's how we protect. This is a big one, guys. This is how we protect. If we price it correctly, this is how we protect your negotiating position as a seller. As a seller, this is how we protect your negotiating position, is by pricing it correctly. Now, I want to talk a little bit about our team, because I think one of the things is that you're saying, oh, Rose, you're sitting in your office, you're just talking about the market. Well, I want to share with you what we're experiencing personally, right? We're experiencing this personally because we're not just watching it from an Excel sheet, right? Or a spreadsheet. We're the quarter team. We currently represent over $50 million of listings in Galveston County as a whole. And I personally have sold 14 houses just the first half of this year. So we're talking to buyers every day. We're talking to sellers every day. We're talking to buyers in open houses. We're watching, the showing activity. We're negotiating offers, and we're seeing firsthand which homes are selling and which homes aren't. So my takeaway is very simple. This is not a dead market. This is a selective market. It's a selective market. And there is a huge difference. What this means for buyers is that your opportunity for buying something at a great price is amazing. It's the best it's been in a couple years. You have inventory, you have options, and depending on the property, you may have even room for negotiation. But with the strategy, right? We can't just walk into every situation and say, offer way below asking price. No, we need to look at how many days we're on market, seller motivation, condition comparables, comparable sales to other homes in the neighborhood, in the area, price regions, competition, and really figuring out where we can leverage in this offer, right? Because remember, a property priced correctly, they're still selling quickly. I mean, in the last 3 weeks, we've seen at least 4 or 5 different bidding, multiple offer situations, right? So again, if it's priced correctly, we're seeing them go. What this means for you as a seller, that, well, this market requires discipline. This market's going to require a lot of discipline. That means that 90% of the work is just the pricing. We need to figure out where you are on price and how we can use it to our advantage. We need presentation matters. Marketing matters. The first few weeks of your home being on that market, it matters. You cannot simply put your house on the MLS, stick a sign in the yard, and think it's going to sell overnight. That's not how it works. You need professional videos, photos, social media. You need agent to agent marketing, right? And we do that, right? We call it reverse marketing, where anyone who's looked at your property, if they have an agent who's looked at your property, or you have multiple agents who've been looking at your property, you reapproach them, right? So we do reverse marketing. We need open houses. Sellers, please listen to me. Out of 14 houses, at least 6 or 7 of those houses I was able to sell because I hosted an open house there in that property. So the first half of the year showed me very clearly, and has shown me every year since then, that pricing your home correctly and having open houses is really vital. Online promotions, again, very important. And strategy for consistently evaluating what is the buyer responding to, okay? Because right now your competition is not just the house next door, it's every house that they're looking at in their phone. Okay, so here are my final thoughts. Is the Galveston housing market crashing? Based on what I'm seeing, it is not. It is not what I would describe, right? I would say, is there a lot of inventory? Absolutely. Are sellers negotiating? Yes. Are houses taking a little bit longer to sell? Yeah. But are buyers still buying? Absolutely. Even the Houston Chronicle, in the article, if you guys are in any of the Galveston Facebook pages, you'll see the Houston Chronicle even stated that homes are still selling, sellers are negotiating, and homes are still going. Okay, so the housing market has not crashed. It is shifting. And honestly, I think that's the real story. Not panic, not the hype, but strategy. We need to do strategy as we're moving forward in this market. If you're a buyer, this market may be a great opportunity for you. And if you're a seller, pricing it correctly is going to be a really important part. So if you guys have any specific questions about your neighborhood, if you're thinking of selling, if you have any specific questions about buying, please reach out to me. My name is Rose Lazo. Thank you guys so much for jumping on my live today. And I hope that you guys have a fantastic rest of your